Hey everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're going to be putting together the clue number 7 of Piazza. Remember, I'm going to be doing the large clue in the San Marco colorway. And we're going to be putting all of our pieces together today for this one, which has a lot of triangles in it. So be ready for a lot of triangle sewing today. So let's go ahead and see what's included in this kit. And first off, I have, how many of these? These are fabric B, and I have 28 triangles, small triangles of fabric B. I have another 28 triangles, this time of fabric A. I have 16 small triangles of fabric C. I have 4 large triangles of fabric A. I have another 4 large triangles of fabric C. And I have 8 large triangles of fabric E. I also have some, let's see, I have 4 large rectangles of fabric E, and they are very large. Let's see, did I get that? Nope, didn't find the center there. Anyways, there are 4 large rectangles of fabric E here. There we go, now I found the middle. So there we go, these are all the pieces that we're going to be using in today's kit. Let's go ahead and put this all off onto the table next to me, and we'll start in with step number 1. All right, we're going to be starting off with step number 1. We're going to be first of all working on section 7A, and we're going to be making, how many of section 7A? We're going to be making 4 of 7A to begin with, and the instructions are going to tell us how to make all 4 sections at the same time. Starting off with step number 1, it says to join a small triangle of A and a small triangle of C. We're going to make 8 of these, and then we're going to set them aside. So we're just going to put them together just like this, A on the top, C on the lower, and we're just going to make 8 of these super easy half square triangles. I'm going to go ahead and do that and come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, I've sewn all 8 together, and now we're pressing towards the A fabric. Remember, I find it best to do up and then over to flatten out half square triangles. That seems to really help with my warping issues. I'm going to go ahead and set them off to the side because we're going to be moving on to step number 2. Okay, moving on to step number 2, it says to join a small triangle of C to a large triangle of A. We're going to press and we're going to add a second triangle of C to the other side. So we're making a flying geese block, and we're just going to be adding on our C fabric, right? This is C, yep, these are C fabrics. We're going to be adding them on to both the left and the right of our A fabric. It doesn't matter which way you go, either way is fine. And then you're going to be pressing out away from your A fabric. And I'm not going to come back in between each one to press it out. So I'm going to go ahead and sew on both sides, but I will be pressing once I get all of one set done and then moving on to the next. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of that, and I'll come back when I'm finishing up pressing whichever side I finish up on. All right, I have finished creating step 2. I have pressed outwards from the center in my A fabric, and now we're going to move on to step number 3. All right, moving on to step number 3, it says to join a step 1 unit to the left and right of a step 2 unit. And we're going to make 4 of these when we're finished, and we're going to set them aside when we're all done. So basically we're lining up our C fabric so it forms kind of a chevron. I don't know what shape you want to call that, but we are lining up our fabrics so that way they meet and look like one continuous line. So I'm going to go ahead and put all 4 of these together, and I'll be back when it's time to press it all out. Okay, I have sewn all 4 of those together. I'm now pressing inwards towards my A fabric. So, oops, almost did that backwards. So flip it around. And it might be a little difficult to press it the way that you want to. It may take a little bit of manhandling, and you may have to do it on the back a little bit as well. But if you just kind of finesse it, you'll get it eventually. It gets a little crazy sometimes with this pressing. As you can see here, I'm struggling a little bit. Well, goodness gracious, this is not the best pressing job that you will ever see on my channel, or across the internet, but there we go. All right, well, it's close enough, and we'll just ignore that. That's fine. All right, so there we go. That's how step 3 looks when we're done. Let's move on to step 4. All right, moving on to step 4, it says to join a large triangle of E to the left of a large triangle C. We're going to press, and then we're going to join a second triangle of E to the right. And we're basically just going to create another, it's kind of like a flying geese, sort of. But we just don't have our little, anyways, you know what I mean. Anyways, we're going to be doing this 4 times, so I'm going to go ahead and sew all 4 up. I'm not going to stop in between when I put the left and right on. I'm just going to go ahead and sew all the way through, but we're going to go ahead and do that and get this all finished up, and I'll come back when I've finished with this. Okay, I have created all 4 of those, and now I'm pressing out my last one. Remember, we're pressing away from our C fabric towards our E fabric. So now I have 4 that look like this. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 5. Okay, moving on to step number 5, it says to join a small triangle of B fabric to the left and right of a step 4 unit. And we're going to be making 4 of these in total again. So we're just going to be adding on our triangles onto the left and right side just like this. I'm going to go ahead and take this all over to my sewing machine, do all of that, and I'll come back when it's time to press these out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press out my last one here, and we're pressing inwards towards our E fabric. So I've kind of had to maneuver this in a way that allows me to press that direction. And we are working with a lot of biased edges on this, so be careful. Don't use starch, even though it may be tempting to do so. Refrain from using the starch, because that could end up making the problem worse, and your measurements could be even more off. So just do your best and try to not warp those blocks, but do what you can, and remember, a finished quilt is always better than a perfect one. All right, let's move on to step number 6. Okay, moving on to step number 6, it says to join a step 5 unit to the top of a step 3 unit. We're going to finish this out. Measures, I never measure, so I just ignore that part. But we're going to make 4 of these, and we're just going to make our, which fabric is this? Our C fabric line up to form this pyramid, triangle, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go ahead and make 4 of these, and just go slowly. Try to work your points in. It doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, my blocks are a little wonky right now. It may not show up as easily on camera, but trust me, they're a little wonky. So I'm just going to go slow and steady, and I will be focusing on the points right here to try and make my pyramid line up correctly. Okay, I've sewn all 4 of those together, and I'm pressing upwards towards the E fabric. And I gotta say, it didn't come out perfectly, but it's not too bad. There is definitely, you gotta work these corners whenever you're pressing, but honestly, I think most of mine came out pretty good. And from afar, you're not going to see, I'm looking up in the camera display and I can't even see where the discrepancies are, so it worked out pretty well, and there we go. I'm going to label these as section 7A or clues 7A, whichever way you want to put that. And I'm going to set these off to the side. We're going to move on to step number, well, not step number. We're going to move to putting together section 7B, step number 1. All right, we're moving on to section 7B. We'll be making 4 of section 7B. The instructions below tell you how to make all 4 sections at the same time. So we're going to be making a lot of half square triangles for this is what's going to happen. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be joining a small triangle of B to a small triangle of A, almost exactly the same way we started off section 7A. And we're going to be doing this 20, yes, that's right, I said 20 times. So I'm going to go ahead and sew all 20 of these together, and I'm going to come back when it's time to move on to step number 2. Okay, I have gone ahead and completed all 20 half square triangles, finished those. Let's move on to step number 2. All right, moving on to step number 2, it says to join 5 of the step 1 units in a row, and we're going to make 4 of these in total. So it's basically going A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. So we're putting 5 of them together to form a row just like this. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll come back when it's time to press all four of these rows out. Okay, I have put together all four of my rows, and we're pressing to the right, so away from the A fabric towards our B fabric, and I have done that on all four rows. So let's go ahead and move on to step number 3. Moving on to step number 3, it says to join step 2 unit to the top of a rectangle of E, and we're going to make 4 of these. So we're going to take our long rectangle E, and we're going to put it on the bottom of step 2 that we just made, and we're doing that 4 times, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to go ahead and take this over to my sewing machine, and I'll meet up when it's time to press. Okay, there we go. I have sewn all 4 of those together. I have pressed towards my E strip of fabric, and we're done with section 7B. All right, there we go. That's what we completed in today's Clue 7 packet. We have our section 7A and our section 7B. Make sure to label those as such, and we are ready. Oh wow, it's already month 8. It's gonna be so exciting to put together Clue number 8 next month.